Tuning into the Black Fire Radio, and you listen to massive Wagwan, Andrew Robinson, Jamaican brother there, reaching out to all the massive on the African continent, and you're tuning into the Pan-African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Joby, from Monday to Friday. Stay tuned. Andrew Robinson, love, respect, and justice for all.
Bringing communities together around the world. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Yo, don't put me on my chest, hot, don't you try me. Don't talk like I know how to come me. When I stay up, then I know where you can find me. If you guys on a bro, check it time. Don't put me on my chest, hot, don't you try me. Don't talk like I know how to come me. When I stay up, then I know where you can find us now. If you guys on a bro, check it time.
Weed that I'm smoking, but I don't know. Y'all slipping on me in a coma. We outside, no Rona. Everybody getting beer, sipping on Corona. Seen a number, but I mean it, I need no more. Came a little different, looking at me like a foreigner. Shawty not shit, if she's selling in a corner. Body shawty can connect, then I dial in the phone now. Bars, bitch, real bars, ass bitch. Everybody real, I expose you like a toner. I'm forever in your brain like a trauma. Hoes get one chance, to get 9 times.
Don't talk like I know how to come me. When I stay up, then I know where you can find me. At guys on a bro, check it time. Don't put me on a test, hard, don't you try me. Try to talk like an onion drip, come me. When I stay up, then I know you can find us now. At guys on a bro, check it time. 925 in it, Dubai shit. Malika ni safi Dubai it. Toka bando, toka grab me gonna throw my necks over 10. This is so much. Meant for kids, don't ever be my phone joke. Cause it is. Not to pay a gram now, 20 big. Free on the bus, kuna game now, feel like you know Instagram, but of me. In this in a big step up, but this knock against on a journey make a pressure. Mamblena wanna teta, to get better. Daily quiet games on a tour to not test.
Don't put me on a test, hard, don't you try me. Don't talk like an onion drip, come me. The last day I tell I know where you can find me. I guys all approach, check it time. Don't put me on a test, hard, don't you try me. Don't talk like an onion drip, come me. The last day I tell I know where you can find us. I guys all approach.
Yes, good afternoon and good morning to everyone listening to me via the radio station, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, live Karibuni Sana, and also on our show page. Karibuni Sana, I hope you guys have had a beautiful weekend, and of course, happy blessed Monday, and have a beautiful, beautiful week ahead of you. And welcome to the Black Fire Network radio station, media of the 21st century. In case you're here for the first time, my name is Joby, but of course, I'd love to thank all our amazing returning listeners and subscribers, and those who actually also have our app on the Google Play Store. Karibuni Sana once again. I hope your weekend was beautiful. Mine was amazing, chilled. I can't complain, but I hope you also had an easy one and a restful one. If in case you've been working 24 hours non-stop, I hope you really did get to rest. But shout out to everyone listening to me on YouTube. But of course, it is exactly 30 minutes past 1 p.m. right here. I'm a little bit late today, but of course, Karibuni Sana. Quick shout out to Chege Watenga. Hope you're doing amazing, brother. Nice to see you. Hope your weekend was amazing. Shout out to Bungela Busia News. Shout out to Guzman. Hi to you too. And of course, shout out to everyone listening to me on these other sides of the show page. I see all of you. I have people on the network. I have people on YouTube. Karibuni sana, kindly interact with me. And of course, welcome to today's debate. Today we shall be talking about Haiti. I don't know how many of you have been updated, rather you have been checking on what is happening on the news. And of course, Haiti has been one of the debates we've been having for quite some time right here on our table, right here on this amazing network. And this is because of, especially when we had our very own country, that is Kenya, declaring to send 1,000 troops, or contributing, let's call it a contribution, to send 1,000 troops, that is to Haiti, for us to clean a mess that we never started. But it has become actually even worse when we saw last week, we witnessed that Benin also has offered to contribute 2,000 troops to Haiti. But during this weekend, a lot has been happening. There's been attempted assassinations. There's been 4,000 prisoners who have been actually released by the Haiti gangs. And of course, we know that this is calling for unrest in the country. And the big question posed to the Kenyan government and to the Benin government, I mean, what are you doing? Why are you sending, despite seeing what is happening right now, why are you still sending, troops into this particular country to deal with a mess that we never started with from the beginning? Why is it that we can't help Congo as Kenya, as Benin? Why can't we go to Congo, check out on places like Eritrea? Because even on my debate today, I'll be sharing about Haiti, not Haiti, but also Eritrea, where we also have one of the politicians who comes forth and speaks about where the government has been making false information. And we know we don't control the news majority of the times, apart from this particular network right here. We control and run our news. But on other news, we've seen that literally a lot of information is always being spread when it comes to the African continent, where we need aid. But we see that actually the officials of Eritrea are coming out and say that the news has been spreading wrong information. So as the US, the AU, that they require aid and they have plenty of food. They do not require help from anyone. All this help is just destabilization of the country, that they are coming literally to bring in the country, raping women. We've been seeing what has been happening in Eritrea, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. But that is what we shall be talking about today. And of course, I hope you guys, diving into the conversation. We shall also be talking about Burkina Faso. Last week, we woke up on Monday, where we saw 15 people were killed. And this is by unknown jihadists. We always question, who are these unknown jihadists? Today, we're waking up to where 170 people have been killed. And this is super, super crazy. We have children. We have innocent women among those who have been killed, and that is what we shall be talking about today, and also Mali as part of our debate. So Karibuni Sana once again, and this is the Pan-African Bliss Show. To everyone who's listening via TikTok, Karibuni Sana on YouTube, welcome. Kindly, I hope you hit that like button, and of course, welcome to today's conversation. Shout out to Yobo, shout out to Lucy Masharia, welcome to today's debate. Back to the music. I began with an amazing jam. That was Silverstone Buzz, Last Airbender, and of course, I'm going back with one more jam, one of my favorites all the time. She has a show at Fanisi this particular week. That is Diana Codes. And of course, I don't know if I'm going to be turning up or what's up. But anyway, enjoy this. We'll be coming back after this short musical break. And of course, with a quote of the day as we get started with today's debate.
Chuma yako pereka na uko Mr. Kidema na vituko Inezoya kushimota Siflo so misionekane za skiplo Kani homa siezi pata Wana dhani niko aje cold Na please, mini mesota So sione utachimba pa gold Minnesota hadi LA Sama banis wantaka game Niliwambia watu mema dola Silence na gota heavy rate Kona kama wanipati base Wanambiwa si wali relocate Okay, tutambia nini waseni Mchape remit au send wave I'm not real, I'm purely fake So cold kuna dhani mistake confused na jeshi ya genge bitch na ngushwa kireke nataka kufikia kibembe ngoja tisi sare kinembe cry baby unalia shika tipiki alwipe your tears artist kupendi my dear hizo ni nini ndo unasikia kwa heri follow your peers au kuambia uachane na mnisa
haiwezi bye bye baby cry baby nataka cry. Yes, my quote of the day today is I'm wishing you a great start on Monday, no obstacle for Tuesday, no stress on Wednesday, no troubles on Thursday, many smiles on Friday, a relaxing Saturday, and a beautiful Sunday. Have a blessed week. That is my quote of the day right here. Yes, you can share anything positive you have to keep us going throughout the week. I know it's tough times right now. The economy is really eating people up, but we're here to survive either way or another. Don't be there, looking down, beating yourself down. Keep some hopes up, okay? Yes, and of course, Karibuni Sana once again. That is Diana Kodzo featuring Siwa Saida and the album. It is actually on among the album that was released just a few months ago. That is Mauru Unit by Siwa Saida. And of course, like I said, Diana Kodzo also has a show this amazing week. But for those who shall be signing up, I hope to represent. We gotta chase the bag. But anyway, Karibuni Sana once again. Thank you so much, Chege, for sharing the live. I see you streaming live from City Cabanas, Mombasa Road. Big up our queen in the house. Thank you so much. And of course, big up to you for always being an amazing listener and a fan right here. We appreciate you. Shout out to Kevo in the building. And of course, I hope umekuwa na weekend fiti yangu imekuwa poa. And to everyone with us also on the radio station, I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. Now, starting with today's conversation, like I promised, I want to start with what is happening in Burkina Faso, because that is also one among the topics we began with last week, where we woke up to very sad news where 15 people were killed. And this is always again by unknown groups, and something again which we pose a question to the AU and to our presidents, when they talk about them taking foreign trips to go discuss about our economy, how security can be literally improved in the African continent. Why do we see matters keep on getting worse? That is the question. We see left, right, and center every single time African presidents. And I remember 2-3 weeks ago, we shared and we were laughing hilariously right here with Keith when we saw that Tinubu has taken so many trips, unlike the previous president. And we've also seen the Kenyan president, the current president, has taken 104. I can remember the number of 104 days that is outside the continent of Africa, and of course has spent so much money, but there's no improvement in the country, and that is unlike also the previous president. So what is really happening in the African continent? That is something we need to question, especially when we see countries like Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, which we've seen they declared democracy, because we're not seeing war apart from the countries that are just now battling on how they can, stop their resources from being extracted or, being stolen, like Congo, Sudan, and so many African countries, and others that we don't even know that are like Kenya. What might happen very soon. It is super crazy. So we're not seeing organizations like the AU or even our presidents addressing this kind of issues, and it is super crazy. But waking up today, or rather what has been happening during the weekend in Burkina Faso, we've seen that 170 people have been killed in a village execution, and they're saying that some 170 people, it is the audacity for the BBC News to say some. That is quite a big number. Even one person, when he or she shot dead, that is still a life that counts. They're saying that some 170 people, including women and children, have been executed in attacks on 3 villages in Burkina Faso. And that is a report given by the public prosecutor. And Ali Benjamin appealed for witnesses to help find those who attacked Cosmigal, Nodine, and Soro. Those are the 3 villages. And separately, the arm warned the increased risk of attacks by Islamists, including attacks on urban centers. In the country, army seized power in 2022, but more than a third of Burkina Faso is controlled by insurgents. Mr. Benjamin also said that he had launched an investigation into the village attacks and in Yatega province that was by 25th of February. And he also added that he launched, let me read that again. He also added that the AFP News reported that dozens of women and children were among the people who have been killed among the 170. This is so sad to waking up to this. We have to start with so much negative reports coming from the continent of Africa. But again, it has to be addressed because we won't see BBC talk the clarity of what is happening. We won't see CNN addressing what is happening, neither calling on those who are responsible for all this. We're seeing the rest of the world debating and demonstrating. Shout out to South Africa. I don't know if you guys have also seen the video circulating online about South Africa, how they went and took, like, there were so many people, you guys, so many people who are demonstrating against the Israel-Palestine genocide that has been happening, that is in Gaza. And it is crazy to see that nobody is demonstrating about Burkina Faso. Nobody is actually supporting. Because we can see, it's crazy to see that no African country has come to support Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, which I expect not, especially because these countries, the rest of them are being run by puppets who are among the part of the ECOWAS bloc and many other fake organizations that want this true democracy to come to an end, which they call a coup. No African country. And to make it even worse, no other African country, apart from demonstrating and calling out on Israel and what they're doing to the Palestine or in Gaza, nobody's addressing about Sudan. Nobody's addressing about Eritrea. Nobody's addressing about Burkina Faso. Nobody's addressing about these three democratically now states, what they are doing and what the attack is all about. Because I believe, again, we've discussed about this. We've seen it's going to take time for them to still restore peace. But again, we've seen how Russia has been coming hand in hand and helping them, and them creating a strong military group that is going to help them deal with all this Islamist attack and take over the control of so many regions that are being now controlled by these unknown jihadis. They also had that the humanitarian workers say Burkina Faso is one amongst the world's most neglected crises. No, it's not. It's not. That is one thing I'd love to correct us. For me, I don't feel like I don't feel like Burkina Faso is one among the world's neglected crises. One among the neglected crises is what is happening in Congo. One among the neglected crises is what is happening in Sudan today. In Ethiopia, where again, women, children are being raped. Because I reported that on Friday. No, on Friday. On Friday, we didn't have a show. That was on Wednesday at the Africa Today show, where we read that as much as they are giving us reports about who are being raped in Palestine or in Gaza, they're not reporting about the other places. Because we've seen so many articles being released despite nothing happening. Women being raped, violated sexually, and nothing. Nobody talks about it. The only person I remember who spoke about it, shout out to the Ethiopian president. He spoke about it. Then the next minute we saw him borrowing a lot of money. IMF bank. The same people you're literally borrowing money from are the same people bringing the UN peacekeepers who are not meant to protect your territory nor your people, but to continue with the destabilization of the country the way it is supposed to be. And that is the fact. So it is super, super crazy. But I'd love to hear for those who are with us on Facebook, on YouTube. Karibuni sana. What are your thoughts regarding this and what is happening in Burkina Faso? I mean, we've been seeing the good results that are coming from these three states, these three countries, but no African country is supporting them. Fake organizations that are actually built in the name of supporting Africa are here calling them out and saying that this country is the most world's neglected crisis. It's not. Actually, what they want is just to take control of their matters, but they won't be allowed to do so because there's a lot of distraction, a lot of killings going on. And that is where the problem comes in. They also add that years of rampant insecurity has forced more than 2 million people from their homes, and the UN estimates that a quarter of all are children under the age of 5 and stunt growth resulting from hunger. The military seized power 2 years ago, promising to win the battle against rebels, yet violence continues. Of course, it continues because you won't leave us alone. It is funny. It continues because you won't leave us alone, you know? You don't want to accept that this is a true democracy that has taken place right here. And that is why we see continuous deaths in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Because it's not meant to, it's not supposed to be at peace. Africa is not supposed to literally stabilize. The moment we start stabilizing, it's going to become a problem. It's going to become a problem. And which is something, again, I've been talking about for quite a long time. I want to shift a little bit before we continue. Because there's something I saw during the weekend where for so long I've been questioning about the East Africa community, the same way we question about the EU, the AU. And right now we can see what Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are doing is literally what the rest of the African country, or rather the AU, has failed to do. One, like creating a one common currency. One currency, one Africa state currency. Not Nigeria currency, not Uganda currency, one Africa currency. So during the weekend, there were news and rumors. I don't know if the rumors are true, but apparently the people control the news and information have said this is fake. We're not sure if this is true. This is something that was meant to happen. If truly maybe the East Africa community is trying to make a change, or what is happening. But during the weekend, we had actually, let me get to read the right article. During the weekend, we had, there's a currency that they had released of the East Africa only, which was something positive. But I see that they have come forth and said that this is actually not true. So this is a block. I don't know which block has, but it has dismissed that there is a fake African common currency. And the secretary of the East Africa Community Regional Bloc, the East Africa Bloc, has dismissed a post on Twitter which claimed that the bloc's member countries have launched a common regional currency. So this comes with it's a 50-50 thing as for me. We're not sure how true the facts are, and we're not sure if for real, probably the East Africa community is trying to do this. Because I've questioned this before. If you guys have been paying attention, there's a time I posed this question and I was like, why is it that the East Africa cannot literally build its own currency? Why is it taking us so much time for us to wait so we can build a one Africa common currency while we can start as East Africa, then the rest can follow suit? Because I believe actually we do have so much potential as East Africa. We do have a big chance of making this happen. But again, if you look at the East Africa and the people who are actually here, majority of them are the biggest puppets on the highest table. We're talking about Kagame, who is part of what the rest of the world won't talk about, which is the continuous genocide, displacement of the people, destabilization of the country, stealing of resources, and all that. So I'm not sure how true the allegations are, but we can see the people control information. I've said that this is all some fake information, but I don't understand why they released this, then call it fake. So meaning probably East Africa is trying to make a movement. They're saying that the post has been shared. That was yesterday, because we saw it yesterday. And that is a fake account on Twitter named the government of East Africa. And the account said that the currency was called the East Africa Chiafra. That is how they called it. Chiafra, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. A combination of the shilling of East Africa and franc. Why did they use franc? Is it France? Because they use the franc, not France, but franc. And the account has also shared the image of the fake banknote on the purported single currency. And the post has received 500,000 views, and which was shared on some of the leading media outlets online and the personalities in the region. I've been among one of them who saw it, and I was like, this is something amazing and positive. But apparently it comes in as fake news. But where there is smoke, there is a fire. So, yep, I believe, and probably, I hope so. I hope the East African puppets are trying to build one currency. And I believe that is how the rest of us will follow suit. Because we can see the dollar collapsing and all that. But what does this mean? It is crazy, but I'd love to hear from you, my audience, those who are with me on the social network. I see so many of you right here, and I also see people on YouTube. And shout out to you, Chege. Thank you so much for tapping the screen, and welcome to today's conversation. But as we continue, I want to talk about Mali as well, because I just spoke about Burkina Faso. And what is happening in Mali is that we can see there is a colonel, Mali colonel, who was being detained. And this is after him releasing a book that is accusing the army of abuses. And I believe, again, these three West African countries that right now have declared true democracy, ever since they did so, there's been so many accusations from the UN, from the humanitarian human rights group, and all the fake groups. Because personally, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've said I don't trust the human rights group, especially those who come and second whatever the UN is saying, whatever the AU is saying, or any human rights that try to literally speak on behalf of the African continent. I don't believe none of them. If they're not Pan-African groups of human rights that are literally talking on behalf of Africans, then the rest, I believe they're all fake, and we don't need to pay no attention to them. That is just me. So we've seen all these groups coming forth, and actually, I remember the time I was reporting Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger being accused of making children suffer, starving people. A lot of accusations were being made to these three countries. But are they true? Of course not. But what is true right now, we can see that a colonel in Mali army has been arrested over his recent released book, which contained accusations that the army has committed human rights abuses against civilians and human rights abuses against civilians. And in the 400-page book titled Mali, The Challenge of Terrorism in Africa, Alpha Yaya Sangre, citing human rights groups, wrote, since 2016, the FDS, the Defense Security Forces, have engaged in abuses against people accused to be part of terror groups. He added that the army personnel committed the abuses with the complicity of the military hierarchy, and Mr. Sangre was arrested later on Saturday, but the arrest was confirmed by the family on Sunday. Mali Defense Ministry has last Friday denounced the accusation. Last Friday had denounced the accusation published on the book and called them false. Several international rights groups have accused Malian troops of abusing and executing civilians in the fight against Islamist insurgents. So you can see the rumors have been going on, the rumors have been there. And again, this is where I believe we saw a couple months ago, Burkina Faso with saying that they no longer want to see the newspaper from France, the published newspaper of France, or any information being released by non-state televisions. He actually banned all of them. If you can remember, I reported that a few months ago, 2 months ago, a month ago. We saw, that was, I think, December. We saw Burkina Faso saying they no longer want to receive any information coming from France. They don't no longer want to see France producing any information about them and all that. They banned literally the newspaper and a lot. So this tells why, and I believe, I don't know if Mali did so, but let me see. I'm not sure if Mali did so or Niger if they have done so, but I believe they should all do so. The moment you declare democracy as a state, you should start by literally changing the one who control you. Because this is how we can see the image, or how they're trying to literally tarnish the image of Mali and make it all look like happen, which is a democracy, is a wrong thing. And that we should not trust the people who are literally trying to take us in the right direction, which they claim is the wrong direction. That is my thought regarding that. And that is what is happening in the western parts of Africa. But before I get to move on, I also had some reports coming in from Nigeria. I think I remember last week me saying that Nigeria, we saw a couple of people who actually ended up being in hospital because of stampedes that were happening. And 2-3 weeks ago, or last month, I reported as well, where we saw Nigerians, due to the cost of living and hunger crisis, and also the government actually destroying the local market of rice, them importing GMO rice, which is considered cheap. But again, look at the health crisis of it, and what does it come with? a lot of damages. So we saw that was last weekend. We woke up to where some people had fatalities and they were taken to the hospital. And today we can see that actually the Nigerian government again is tightening security. That is during the weekend. They had to tighten security because of food theft as it continues. And they're saying Nigerian authorities have heightened security at government food stores around the country amid a crisis. With the people struggling to afford food, recently have been increased cases of attacks on warehouse to steal food items, which I believe they should do at some point, because have you seen how greedy this system is? Have you seen how greedy this system is? Have you seen them hiding tons of sacks of maize, hiding sugar till it expires? Then they can tell us, oh, we're subsidizing the amount of this particular commodity or this amount of food. And this is some expired bullshit that they have been literally keeping so that they can benefit when the situation gets even way worse, where we can't control it. It is insane. They also add, with the people struggling to afford food, recently there have been increased cases of attacks on warehouse to steal food items. And yesterday, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, said on Twitter, it was an increasing security to forestall any breaches at its office and warehouse nationwide. And it comes after a local resident looted food items, including bags of maize, and a facility in Nigeria, federal capital of Abuja. And the looters also vandalized the warehouse, and the incident reportedly went for hours. And it has actually caused a gridlock as people blocked the roads near the area. Same videos are being shared online showing a chaotic scene on Sunday, which crowds gathered around the facility and other walking away with sacks of grain. And of course, you can also remember last week, again, I reported that was on Tuesday and Thursday, we had a demonstration by some Nigerian workers, and of course the cry was to Tinubu to reduce the cost of living. But where is Tinubu? He was outside, having some champagne and all that, It is crazy, manze. But of course, that is what is happening in the parts of the western parts of Africa, and those are the news that I had coming from those particular sides. Let me know what are your thoughts regarding this for those who are just tuning in, and of course, welcome to today's conversation. As we move on, before we get to our hit, which is our major focus of the day, because I have a couple of videos I want to share and articles as I get to read. I promised to talk about Eritrea, and like I said, nobody's calling out what is happening in Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia. We can see Ethiopia and Somalia right now about to actually go on a war because of just divisions being made by a white man. So yes, in Eritrea, we've been seeing wars going on, people being killed. The displacement of the people is also very serious over there. But there's something we're not being told. And this is it. And I want to share this with you.
Let's talk about the drought in the Horn of Africa. Eritrea, like all the other countries, is suffering from this. And yet you are reluctant to let aid workers into your country. What is the justification for that?
And all African countries should be reluctant. Let me just pause on that. All African countries, I believe, we should be very reluctant. Take me back again to where I spoke about farming, and why Africa today struggles a lot with food production, and why we ended up, or why our government, we've seen them introducing us to genetically modified food. It's all on purpose. One, our lives, we need to understand, are on the line. We're not just being helped. These people are here to genocide us, to kill us. Number one, we're not just being helped. We are being kept under a modern type of slavery of being dependent on people who never want to let go of our country in the name of we gave you independency. Then something else is that we should be seeing trade being very active in the African continent. Take me back to again where we've seen Rwanda, Kenya, Malawi lifting or banning the visas. The visa on some countries, and where I say that this should be very beneficial. Again, take me back to on Friday debate where I discussed about Kenya giving 300,000, not 3,000, but 300,000 acres of land to an Italian company, but went to Zambia, bought 20 hectares of land in the name of farming. But last week we reported where Zambia is struggling so hard with drought, the cost of living, which they don't have food to rely on. So the question is, how is Kenya and Zambia benefiting each other? And why did Kenya go to buy a land in Zambia? That was last year. Why did this happen? If African countries were going to go to each other's countries, it should be beneficial. But we're not seeing any benefits of this African setup puppets. And this is why we can see them like Kenya introducing GMO food and telling us that because the cost of living has gone so high, the only way we can live is that. What? You're trying to kill us. You are killing us. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. But yes, let me share this. So I believe this man, he should actually be very reluctant on this matter. And this was actually a video that an interview that was done in 2010, February 20th.
When we have enough food.
John Mosquito Karibu Sana is saying that, Juby, did you get my application for the... Oh my God, we told you we're not giving you that space. But Karibu Sana, nice to see you. Hope you had a beautiful weekend and welcome and have a beautiful, beautiful week ahead of you, John Mosquito.
Why do we need someone to feed us? Then again, how can you possibly imagine and say, I am hungry when I'm not hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to believe that? Why do you want to believe people are hungry and people are in need of your support?
So what I picked from this, I believe, yes, there's so many African countries that do require aid. That is not something that I'm in. But I believe, again, African countries, we can be able to help each other without us relying and looking unto Joe Biden, Antonio Guterres, France, all these countries that are keeping us in this particular state. We should not be looking up to them. What we should be seeing in Djibouti helping Ethiopia, we should be seeing Kenya, which is something they did some time back, but also we were in a crisis. You know, we saw Kenya sometime taking, exporting maize all the way to Somali, which is, they needed it. And that was something beautiful because it came with negative, it came with a positive and a negative critics from the people and all that. But again, what he said is very true. The media has always and will continue portraying Africa as a very poor continent, a continent that needs help in terms of food aid, in terms of finances, while you're giving away resources that literally carry tons of billions of money that people are making themselves rich out of, and a lot more. And the people themselves, how have you seen Africans everywhere we are, how hardworking we are? Because I remember Lynn Ngugi saying Kenyans. It's not just Kenyans. African people are very hardworking everywhere we are. And I believe if it is creating stabilization, if these puppets wanted us to, we would have long time ago. We're talking about 60, 50, 70 years of almost independence. But there's nothing we can claim that we are dependent on. Independent on. We're so dependent. So I believe, again, it's because we don't control information. Most of the information is run by this fake media. The people control the world. We know who they are. We don't need to say the names. So yes, when he says that we have people putting up images outside there that we require help, I really believe him. I really.
Why do you want to believe that? That's a very, very sad state of mind for people who think that they can come and feed people when they're not even in need of feeding. Go and feed the people of the victims of Katrina. Go and feed the people in Haiti if you really want to.
If you really need to help. That is what he said. That was the president of Eritrea by then. I don't know if he's still the president right now. Hisa Afweki, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And that is what he had to say. And I believe whatever he's saying is very, very true. You do not need no aid as a continent. You require none. You are a strong continent because we believe as a country, and that is a lie we're told by the white man, or this country is the one doing better. They are creating destabilization equally. And if it is to destroy us, they're trying to do it actually as a continent where they can wipe us out as a whole. So the realization has to come back to us as a people. The realization has to come back to us, the civilians. Who are these people we claim we have chosen, but don't do what we require them to do? You know, go back to again understanding elections. What is this all about? Is it an election? Is it a selection? Because for real, it is a selection. We don't elect. But I explained again how the media, I feel like, plays a propaganda with the number of the people, or this is the number of the people turn to vote. But in real sense, they already know who is there to be installed as a puppet. The media is just a tool that is being used to control people's mentality and make them believe. I think we discussed this on Monday on the Africa Today show last week, where Keith was trying to make us explain, I think one of my shows, trying to make me pull if it's a TV, an object that was built as a mind control. And it is. All the media is. Not just Black Hot Fire. Hello, excuse me. Yeah, we're here to tell the truth. Not Black Hot Fire. We're here to spill the truth. And this is why this is so rare to hear. And we'll see so many people living under these lies and fear, not wanting to fight for what is truly right, because you've been made believe. Someone is controlling your mindset. Someone is controlling the way you should think. Someone is trying to make you believe what they want you to believe. And that's what's up. So shout out to this guy, the president of our Eritrea, for saying that, because Africa, you do not need no help. But yes, getting to the matters of the day, which is Haiti. And of course, like I said, I don't know if many of you have seen what has been happening. We have the deployment of the police officers, which Kenya received a lot of money. Our president pocketed it. Let me see. How much did Kenya receive to send Kenyan troops to Haiti? That was $237 million from the UN. It did actually demand. Kenya demanded. I think they were offered first some 100 and some million. Yeah. The US did pledge 100 million to back Kenyan-led Haiti mission. That was 100 million. That was the first amount they were given. Then I remember last year, towards the end of the year, Kenya came out and said that they shall not deploy their people if the amount of money is not added. So this is about money, you know. This shows the greediness. And now this fake money is ruling and controlling our policy, our government, our politics, and everything, our economy, our mindset, and everything you can talk about. So this was in 2023, in November 10th. I think that is when I read it, because I said towards the end of the year, where we had Kenya demanding a funding vote of 36 billion to prepare its 1,000 troops to Haiti in an annual budgetary estimate indicating the expense the international community must foot and run mission initially. 36 billion Kenyan shillings. That is Kenyan shillings, which is $237 million. The Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki told the parliament that week that the amount will go towards preparation of the troops and buying of equipment, but it excludes any other countries that may want to deploy, meaning the actual cost of Haiti multinational security support mission, as it is formally known, could be higher. Appearing before the Joint Security Committee, both the National Assembly and the Senate, that is conducting public participation over the matter, Professor Kindiki told the MPs that the money will go towards training, administration support, transport, purchase of technical equipment, general equipment, and purchase of weapon, ammunition, and anti-riot equipment. That was in 2023, November. Pick a note. 2023 November. Then after that, we saw videos circulating online and actually some information saying that actually we had some police who had been deployed before this amount of money being given or being suggested. And with that came along with this. Let me share this. I think if you were here 2 weeks ago, if you didn't catch up with the show, I shared this. And where we had one of the police who was killed on his way to Haiti. Not sure if it was in Washington or where, but this is what the father had to say, and I'll translate for those who cannot understand.
Walikuwa askari 10.
So 10 of the police officers by then were deployed. By then, that is just by then.
Walikuwa wanasafiri kwenda Haiti, lakini kama kawaida wao usimama either New York au Washington kwa muda kabla hawaja proceed kwenda Haiti. Walipofungua mlango wakaingia ndani, wakapata huyu kijana wangu amelala.
Yes, so what they're trying to say is that the family of a Kenyan police inspector found a dead mysterious let me read that again. The family of a Kenyan police inspector found dead in mysterious circumstances in the US says it's being denied access to the body. So 10 of them were taken. I don't know if this is after the money was given or before, but I remember, and I shared a video. I shared it sometime where we had our very own officials say that they had done a deployment of some police officers before. So this is not something new that we should be surprised by. That is what they said. We should not be shocked that this is happening, or because they're trying to send 1,000 more people there. Walter Nyakinye Nyamoto, along with a group of other officers, was en route from Kenya to Haiti, where Nairobi controversial intends to deploy 1,000 police officers on a security mission, and he was found lying on his stomach, unresponsive, in his Washington hotel room, and no explanation has been offered for his death. Nyamoto's father says another family member living in the US was turned away by police when he made inquiries and was told that this will be a government-to-government matter. So this actually should caution and should be actually a message to the 1,000 troops, not even to the people. This is to 1,000 troops who are being taken there. If you can see one of you has died and the body coming back here is a government-to-government matter, what makes you think that you are literally going to be protected there? If anything happens to you, your family has the assurance that you're going to be transported back here. That is a red flag already. When they say this is a government-to-government, of course it is, yes, but I believe the family should be given the information of what caused the death, what happened, and what is going on. That was last week on 23rd of February where this happened. But today, this is what we woke up to. Actually, during the weekend, this is what has been happening. Let me share this very, very quickly. Where we had the Haiti. We are here. We have the Haiti Prime Minister who came to Kenya. That was last week. This for them to have talks about the deployment of the police officers. And this lady posed a question to him because the matters of security is something that is supposed to be checked.
United States International University, Africa, in Nairobi, Kenya, where the Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry is set to give a public lecture on Haiti, and African Stream is here to ask him a few questions.
This is my question to you. For the assassination that happened of the president and the people of Haiti, seen as the president, you are supposed to be a representative.
I don't know if you guys can hear the how's it called, the audio correctly, because it's a little bit echo-ish. But what she was questioning to the Prime Minister is how is he concerned about the safety of the people? Because we know actually, and the lady, what she said is that she understands that sending our troops over there is not going to solve any matters, because you can see the percentage of the gangs who control the country, how high it is, and that this is something that should be very highly discussed before the deployment is done. And how is he going to actually, how sure is he that after this deployment of troops from Benin, from Kenya, it is going to make the situation quite better in Haiti, which we know it is not going to. These are funded war. It is not our battle again, like I said, but we are getting involved. But let me share this very quickly, where we had our very own media giving us much more what is happening.
Now, tonight, despite the government's planned deployment of police officers to lead a multinational security support mission in Haiti, potential hurt.
Mike in the building. Shout out to G Joe J Muitu, karibu sana. Shout out to Ocampo, Joe Mosquito, who is with me. Thank you so much, you guys, for tapping the screen and for tuning into the Blackout Fire Network. My name is Joby, and this is the Pan-African Bliss Show.
Officials await the agreement between Port-au-Prince and Nairobi, including the test of equivalence in the measure of reciprocity as enshrined in the National Police Service Act, and how Haiti, without a functional government, will meet the reciprocity criteria. Ayub Abdikadir takes a look at the holes in account of the planned deployment.
Ink on the Kenya-Haiti reciprocal agreement on police deployment can dry up. There are already concerns on what shape the reciprocity will take. Reciprocating countries defined under the National Police Service Act as any country which being satisfied that the law of that country contains provisions reciprocal to this part, and that Kenya is and shall be declared a reciprocating country for purposes of those provisions, by notice in the Gazette, declare to be a reciprocating country for the purposes of this part. But does Haiti meet this legal test?
It therefore appears highly improbable that there can be an act from the Haitian Parliament that allows reciprocity with Kenya. If you look at Section 107, as read with Section 108 of...
Haiti might, what I'd love to answer that question posed, the Haiti might, but the Haitians are not reciprocating what Kenya is doing. Haiti might, the officials might, because they know what they are doing with the Kenyan president and the US officials, but the Haitians, the citizens, don't want this. We've been warned. I've shared a couple of videos. We've been warned because you're about to participate into imperialism.
The National Police Service Act, the failure to have a reciprocity accord with the Haitians based on Haitian law might not be satisfied. It's highly unlikely that the Haitians have a law in place.
Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who has been in power since the assassination of Jovenel Moise, has no parliament with elected representatives of the people, and disbanded the electoral body, dismissed the country's chief prosecutor, and since the expiry of his temporary mandate a year ago, rules by decree. It is not therefore clear how the agreement signed at State House in Nairobi will be ratified by Haiti.
Failure to have legal approval by Haitian Parliament and not having benefited from a vote by the Haitian people, Ariel Henry is definitely on illegal and unconstitutional basis as a prime minister.
Of course he is. Of course he is. That's what I'm saying. Haiti might because of the officials, but do the Haitians want this? No. You can hear he has even no votes from the parliament, so it's crazy.
While the law does not prohibit the deployment of the Kenya Police Service outside the country, crucial constitutional steps have not been undertaken as the law prescribes.
Unfortunately, this treaty, for all intents and purposes, appears not to have conformed to the requirements of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act, including the requirement of public participation. And therefore, such a treaty entered into in this manner will amount to an illegality.
Former Defense Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa has challenged the state to reconsider the planned deployment due to domestic insecurity challenges.
Askari wetu kutoka Kenya hadi Haiti ni zaidi ya over 12,000 kilometers. That distance across the Atlantic does not make sense. That we send our officers there. Na hapa karibu Baringo, hapa Samburu.
I mean, I'm glad I can't remember the name of this guy, but shout out to him. I can't remember the name of this politician from Kenya. But it is true. We have Samburu, we have Turkana. The northern parts of Kenya itself alone has no peace. But you want to tell me you want to take people to 12,000, I don't know, miles or whatever the distance is to go tackle a war that is not ours? And shout out to Benin even doubling the number. 2,000 troops. That makes 3,000 troops who are supposed to be sent to Haiti. But what is happening, or what happened during the weekend? Because have you seen 4,000 prisoners who have been released by the Haitian gangs? What does that literally mean?
Watu wetu wanawawa sababu hakuna.
Good morning to you too, Keith. Good afternoon from my end. Karibu sana.
Askari wa kutosha kule Samburu.
The planned Haiti deployment, which according to the government is meant to restore law and order in the Caribbean country, has been subject to scrutiny, including what's Kenya's geopolitical goal, and in the midst of rising insecurity incidences and a police-public ratio way below the required United Nations standard. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Yeah, and that is what is happening over there. I had to share that video coming from our media writing, the 254. Of course, also the question is something that everyone is concerned about this. I see Kenyans are debating about this. People are very, very concerned about the deployment of these police officers to Haiti. And going through the comments, one of the comments that I read, it was saying that any wise person knows that no leader can risk such a move without it being demanded from its controllers. USA, or rather the US, did this to Kenya just as they did with the KDF in Somalia during Kibaki's tenure. I mean, that is true. Another one also adds that if Kenyans don't want the mission, they are free to cancel the accepted invitation because no one is being forced against their will. Someone else will take their mission. I believe that is true, but you're going to lose your job, baby. You're going to lose your job if you don't want to do what they want you to do. You're going to lose your job. You think these police officers are willing to risk their jobs? And again, I don't know how much each is being paid. I don't know how much these troops are being paid, but it looks like a very big amount of money, where we had Kenya itself demanding $237 million, that makes it 36 billion Kenyan shillings. I'm not sure how much these troops are being paid, but it looks some very convincing money. And then go back to something we discussed and debated with Keith, that was last week. Most of these people you see in these government offices, they're not being paid well. Most of them also don't even want to talk about it, especially the police officers. And that's why we see the issue of bribing on the roads with the traffic code police officers, with all of them. It is all the same. I don't see no difference. It's because they're not being paid well. Secondly, majority of African people, families, are suffering. You may have gotten maybe this job 2 years ago, but still you're trying to figure out your life. You have black tax. Talk about that. And maybe you have a parent who's sick, cancer. Could be HIV and AIDS. They need ARVs all the time. It could be your child or your wife. They needed some medical assistance, and you became now the breadwinner. And you're being given or offered large amount of money. You think most of the people are going to say no? Hell no. So this is so crazy. And just like these guys, it is up to the people who are being deployed there. This has nothing to do now with us as civilians. We can't even help you, because if you're willing to go there, if you're willing to see your fellows die there, their parents demanding their body back, being told this is a government to government matter, you should question. You should pose a very big question mark on your head. Where am I taking myself to? So the question is being asked, will the Kenyan police be able to tackle the Haitian gang violence? That is the question being posed to the world. Will this be able to happen? There's around 1,000 Kenyan police officers are to be said to be deployed to Haiti in a bid to combat the raging violence gang that is on the rise. Last year, Kenya volunteered to lead a multinational security force in the troubled Caribbean nation. Yet in January, the High Court blocked the plan, ruling the government, which did not have the authority to deploy police to other countries without an agreement, which is the same thing we can see Haiti is battling with, because the parliament has not agreed to the troops being sent there. This is illegal, but the prime minister is still doing it and meeting with the Kenyan president. It also ruled that the National Security Council lacks the legal authority to send police outside Kenya. And on Thursday, Haiti's MP arrived in the East African state to salvage the plan. In January, a UN envoy said that the gang violence in Haiti had reached critical point, with nearly 5,000 deaths reported last year, more than a double of the number seen in 2022. While in that month alone, more than 1,100 people were killed, injured, or kidnapped. In a statement on Friday, the Kenyan President William Ruto said that he and Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry had signed an agreement and discussed the next steps on to enable the fast tracking of the deployment. And along with the Kenyan police officers, the Bahamas has confirmed 150 personnel, Jamaica of Agintua and Bermuda, I don't know, Bermuda, however you pronounce it, have said that they are also willingly to help with the U.S., while the U.S. has pledged 158 million euros, which is $200 million, to support the deployment. Earlier this week, we also saw Benin sending its 2,000 troops, offering to send 2,000 troops. However, many Kenyans are opposed to the deployment, arguing that the security challenges need to be first tackled at home, which is true. And you can hear, I can't remember the name of this guy. Why can't I remember the name of this guy? But yeah, shout out to him. The security matters needs to be tackled first at home before we go anywhere else. Turkana, the northern parts of Kenya need help. They need help. But they're saying that the opposition politician Nkuru Akot, who filed the initial petition against the deployment, told the AFP agency that on Friday he would lodge a case for contempt of the court. And he also says that we will question the validity of the secretive agreement. And Haiti is the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere, and gang violence has increased following a 2021 assassination of the former president Jovenel Moise, which I see you, Joe Mosquito, you are saying black people are the hardest working people on the planet, because we are the biggest consumers, and two, we have to work twice as hard as everyone else. That is true. I agree with you. And also see you say that, Joby, do you know the Haitian president was murdered and was allegedly set up and murdered by his wife? Yeah, I think I do have the video I was to share also right here. And it is super, super crazy how it happened by then. It is crazy. And the question goes back again to the people who are agreeing to be sent there.
Tonight, the shocking new video emerging. Haitian Prime Minister and acting President Ariel Henry and his security team coming under heavy gunfire on Saturday in an assassination attempt at an event commemorating the country's Independence Day. His team can be seen trying to shield him with a bulletproof vest while scrambling to take cover behind a vehicle. Then, with gunfire still erupting.
So in this video, they're saying that plans to deploy police men to Haiti is questionable, and watch as the acting president narrowly escapes an assassination attempt on the day Haiti celebrates its independence. This is a day ago, so I'm not sure if this happened this weekend, but it seems like it. But which makes me pause again, was he already back? Because he came on Thursday to Kenya, so it means like he was back in the country.
The group in a dash, running to their caravan of vehicles. The car speeding away, the prime minister safe inside. Local media reports saying one person was fatally shot, 2 injured, but an official casualty count has not been released. The gunman.
Yeah, so it is crazy, and I hope Ruto is watching all this, because he should. He should be seeing what is happening right here. He should be seeing what is happening all right here. But as Kenya is questioned about if it can tackle the gang crisis in Haiti, we can see Haiti itself, it has declared a curfew as it tries to restore order after a weekend jailbreak, where they're saying that Haitian's government declared a state of emergency and nighttime curfew that was later on Sunday in a bid to rein control on the streets after an explosion of violence over the weekend. So armed gangs members stormed the 2 countries' biggest prison. The 72-hour state of emergency went into immediate effect as the government said it would set out and find the killers, kidnappers, and other violent criminals that it reported escaped from the prison. And they're saying that the police were ordered to use all legal means to disposal to enforce the curfew and apprehend all offenders. In a said statement by the Finance Minister Patrick Boyvet, who is serving as acting Prime Minister right now. And they're also saying that Prime Minister Ariel Henry traveled abroad last week to try salvage support for United Nations backed by security forces, not in the US. These people are lying. These people are liars. He came to Kenya. These people are liars. Oh my God. Traveled abroad. Abroad where? He came to Kenya. Oh my God. See how lack of... This is crazy. And this is why I go back to what the Eritrean president had said in 2010. They are going to feed you beliefs that are not true. This guy, I just read, he came to Kenya on Thursday, but now they say he went to abroad. Probably they have means to travel now and then, so probably. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong. But yeah, they say that the decree kept a deadly weekend that marked a new low in Haitians' downward spiral of violence, and at least 9 people have been killed since Thursday, 4 of them being police officers, as gangs stepped up coordinated attacks on the state institutes in Port-au-Prince, and the targets include police stations, the country's international airport. Remember on Friday we reported where they raided airports and also police stations, and even the national soccer stadium. But the siege which happened on Saturday night on the national Pretendary came as a shock even to Haitians accustomed of living under the constant threat of violence. It is crazy whatever is happening right here, and it's something that needs to be checked very deeply. But this can only be done if we have countries like let me say Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, them building a very strong military right now with the help of Russia. That is the only way this country can be helped. Only if we have a true military build, and not having this paid, funded continuation of imperialism and killing of civilians that we can see happening right here. It is crazy, and that is what is happening. And those are the news I had for you today, guys. But apparently and unfortunately, I'm coming to the end of today's conversation. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and thank you so much to those who had tuned in. I saw so many of you on the show page. Asanteni sana for those who have been with me listening over there on the radio station. Remember, if you have the radio app, you can actually listen there as you pin your comments on the show page. But if you are also able to stream on the show page at the same time and comment, well and good. But of course, shout out to also everyone who has been with me on Rumble Shout out to those who shall catch on this on a Spreaker. And thank you to everyone who has been catching my shows on a replay, wherever you call it. And they have been leaving their comments behind. I do appreciate you so much. So in case you catch this again on a replay, for those who woke up late, kindly do leave your comments behind. What are your thoughts regarding these topics? We've spoken about Burkina Faso, where we've woken up today, 270 people being killed. And it is crazy because last weekend we also saw 15 people being killed by the same Islamist groups. And a question which is posed that they are saying, because this is what they had to say, that humanitarian workers say that Burkina Faso is one of the world's most neglected crises. And I want to say that Burkina Faso is not one of the most neglected world crises. Burkina Faso is trying to actually handle its own crisis, but you won't let them be. The world most neglected crisis is Congo, Ethiopia, which they're trying to now make Ethiopia and Somalia, attack each other. Eritrea, Sudan, Djibouti, and Burundi, which is now also being attacked because of trying to support also Congo. So those are the places that actually right now need the world's attention. Not what we can see South Africa doing. You're taking a whole demonstration as a country on people who don't give a F about you, on people who control your economy, on people. It is crazy. Because is anyone even majority of us understand that we have indigenous Palestinians over there and nobody's talking about them? Everyone wants to talk about the fake Palestinians and all that. So it is crazy. Like I said, I have not seen also any other African country supporting Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, because it is all not a it is all not a democratic, or they are not democratic countries, and that's why they are threatened because of true democracy being installed, and that's why we won't see them backing up Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, but rather accusing them of, like we saw here. What was the statement? They said that, what was the statement? Let me read that again. There's something they said about, which they keep on lying, like I mentioned about Mali, that the situations have been getting worse since the coups were successful and all that. It is crazy. But shout out to Unsunken One. Hi to you too. Karibu sana, but again, Kwaheri, you came in late. Hope you are doing amazing. Hope you had a beautiful weekend. And you're saying that you got. Oh, okay. I'll check out what is happening on that, and I'll correct that. And of course, thank you so much for coming into today's conversation. Much love, family. That is where I wrap it up. But of course, we're coming back in a few with the Rhythm Scoop Show by 3 p.m. So kindly tune in and catch up with the entertainment news and arts over there and see what is happening, rather what has been happening during the weekend, what shenanigans did we have, and all that. Much love. Have an amazing rest part of your morning for those who are just waking up, but to all our amazing 254 people and the ones who are listening from all the African continents, I hope you enjoy the rest part of your day. I finish up with the jam I started with, Diana Code featuring Siwa Saida. See you guys later.
Choma yako pereka na uko Mr. Kidema na vituko nimezoea kushimoja flow so misioni kama just flow kani homa siwezi pata wana dhanini kwa jekol